Good afternoon, everyone. It's Victor speaking, and I'm here with Swati today again. And if you remember last time, we had a look at your soul mission, what makes your heart sing, and so forth. And that can be seen with the sun and the sun's closest aspect. And plenty of people actually asked us about how the North Node play out, for instance, in your karmic experiences, how you can embrace the energy of the North Node and the South Node. So we decided to make a video on that, and I'm hoping it's going to be a very useful information for you. And then at the very end, we're also going to be having a look at an example chart of David Bowie to see how you should be approaching, you should be analyzing the North Node energy in your own chart. So hi, Swati, how are you doing?
Hi, Victor. I'm doing great. It's a very interesting topic, so I'm looking forward to discussing it. I'm sure that I myself will learn a lot from it, so really looking forward to it.
Great. Well, I'm sorry for not being on camera today, but guys, believe it or not, I look like a grizzly bear. I haven't shaved for like 3 weeks, and I'm trying to be a responsible human, so I don't go to the barber. And then in the meantime, my beard got so long that there is no razor which would cut it through. So I decided not to go on camera, but you will be able to enjoy Sweti's face today. I'm guessing you are very busy with your main work as well at the moment, right?
Yes, I am. It's really a very hectic time, and I hope it's
you
over
guys
soon.
need to know that Sweti works in healthcare, so she's pretty much trying to find a cure for coronavirus and so forth. So she's extremely busy. And thank you very much for taking your time and then do a video with me today. So as I said, we're going to be discussing how the North Node can play out in your chart, and as well as we're going to be looking at what happens when the North Node, for instance, is transiting your natal North Node, because we feel like there is not so much information out there. And the natal nodes of the moon represents an arc of development in your chart. The South Node is going to be indicating many lifetimes of condition of your life and how you have been trained to see the world again and again. And the North Node is going to be representing what you kind of haven't been taught, or the model which you have been shown wasn't in the healthy ways. And now you are back here to learn and explore and integrate those topics, of course, in order for your growth. So how do you usually approach the nodes in the chart, Swati?
The nodes in the chart, first I will start with what the nodes actually are. They are points in our chart, and they are actually the point where the moon's ecliptic crosses the sun's ecliptic. So to me, the nodes are actually a meeting point between the moon and the sun. In the chart, the sun's mission and the moon's mission, in a way. And because we know that the moon actually represents our body, it's the physical plane, our soul, and the sun represents the spirit. So to me, the nodes are a guiding point, a point of development of our spirit, the Father, the God within ourselves on the earth plane in the physical body.
Yes.
So this is how I approach the nodes, and they are really so I don't like the word karmic, but they can show how our soul and our spirit developed in many lifetimes, and how we should proceed now to further develop ourselves.
It's interesting you say that you don't like the word karmic, because I've got some reservation in regards to that too. Because what I have experienced, and this is exactly how I teach in my lessons as well, that, for instance, the South Node is believed to be a point in the chart what you have to release. and it is believed to be the point in your chart what you have learned in previous lifetimes. But in my opinion, actually, the South Node also can reveal the gift that you bring into this lifetime. And actually, it's not just the gift, but what you kind of have developed in the first, let's say, 25, 35 years of your life. As in my opinion, and this is the way how I've seen in charts manifest as well, most of the people tend to be living their South Node in the first, let's say, 35, 40 years of their lifetime. And why is that? Because even if you don't believe in, let's say, karma, but then this is what you developed at the beginning of your life, and then you became so good at it that obviously you want to carry on the teachings of that South Node throughout the whole life. But at one point, we're going to have to find that moment when we're going to start going towards the North Node. Because the North Node in your chart indicates where you should be showing some hunger. You know, you should be trying to you should try to get towards that point in your life. Actually, in ancient astrology, North Node is considered as a benefic point in the chart, which is going to bring you increases. And the South Node is a malefic point in the chart. It acts like Saturn, so it's all about construction. Eventually the power of the South Node is going to decrease and decrease in your life, so you're not going to be benefiting from it as much. Think about South Node like where you came from, what you already know. And obviously when you reach a point, for instance, at your workplace as well, you're going to get bored of it. And then you might even become complacent. That's why you need to be embracing the North Nodes.
Yes, and also to just further develop this idea, because the North Node is actually related to the seasons and to Aries energy. It's related to the spring. It's compared to spring, and the South Node, it actually has the qualities of autumn and Libra energy. If we think of it this way, then in autumn we actually have the seed, which is going to be a plant one day, and it will show above the earth in the spring. So this is where the North Node is. And in this line of thought, we need the South Node, Ketu, in order to develop the North Node. So it is not in vain that the North Node, we start developing it maybe at the age of 38, 40, even a little bit later, because we really need to develop the South Node to have the seed, to create the necessary circumstances and environment for it to grow, to develop our talents, to become clear what we really like to do, and to be courageous in a way when we reach the North Node, to be able to manifest and to show the talents that we have developed and the new skills that we are now ready to show. So I believe these are two very much interrelated. You cannot develop the North Node without developing the South Node. It's like this Firefox icon. It just comes to my mind as a symbol. But it's like the fox eating its tail. You always need to have this circle. It's a cycle. So you cannot start from nowhere. You need to start from a ground basis, which is the South Node.
Yeah, I agree. You know, because as I said, Saturn is, South Node is more like a Saturnian energy. And the North Node carries the Jupiterian energies. So how I imagine this is actually that you are trying to climb a mountain, and that's going to be the South Node. You need that talent, how to overcome the obstacles rolled ahead of you. And then once you reach that peak, that's going to be the North Node. You know, once you do reach that peak, you will be amazed by how fulfilled your life might feel. It's like an activation of your life mission, basically. The sooner you align yourself with the path, the more purpose-driven your life might become. So I always urge astrology students and whoever is interested in astrology, actually, to always look at the North Node and the South Node placement, because it is going to be telling you what the person is bringing and where they should be heading, what the destination of the person is. And plenty of people refuses to go towards the North Node, which I understand why anyway. The North Node placement in your chart is challenging, and probably this is what I would call the unknown. Obviously, if you don't know something, how it's going to play out for you, then you are more reluctant to go towards that point, right?
Yeah,
Because it's all about risk taking.
Oh yeah, and maybe it's related in a way. Sorry if I interrupted you. It's related in a way to the person's temperament. If we have lots of earth energy in our chart, any change will be like very challenging to us. But if we are like more fiery or with more air element in the chart, then we will be more open to changes. But then it can be a trap, because the North Node it's greedy energy, it's insatiable, so it might be very exhausting in a way. So we always need to find this balance. It's an opposition axis, so we always need to look into both signs, the north and the south node. We need to balance between them. We need to use the talents of the south node in order to overcome challenges, from any changes, from any hardship, from stretching from our comfort zone, so that we can reach the peak, so we can develop and achieve our mission.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. And I think if we really want to help people to understand how the nodes are working out in your chart, maybe we just should look at the placement of North Node and South Node, a little bit more in detail. For instance, when the North Node is in Aries, it means that the South Node is going to be placed in Libra. And well, according to the ancient, the North Node is always going to be an embracing point in your chart. And the South Node is what you kind of have to believe. So when you've got Aries North Node, basically the North Node is always going to be an embracing point in your chart. And Aries North Node needs to embrace how to step out as a leader, as a star, someone to be paid attention to. This person needs to prioritize their own goals and being able to be comfortable as well alone. They need to learn that a relationship is good to have and it's fantastic, but they don't need to hide out behind the relationship.
Yes.
And Aries is an angry sign. So somehow Aries North Node need to become a pioneering person, fighting for their belief systems. And even if they want to, expressing their anger in an open and healthy manner. So that's what Aries North Node need to be embracing. How do you feel about the release points of Libra?
The release points of Libra, they will be related with compromising too much yourself, not getting into any competition, just giving up for the sake of others, trying to keep the peace and hiding your true desires, not asserting your willpower in order to let somebody else achieve their goal. It's like not having the self-discipline to pursue your true goal, to your will, not having the courage, even being afraid to be. It's like these thoughts of, am I now being too cheeky? Maybe I'm too courageous. Maybe this will turn against me, and all these kind of self-talk that will tell you not to proceed and not to assert your ego, yourself, and your willpower in a group of people, or maybe even regarding yourself, within yourself. So
Exactly. You know, I feel like, as I said, the embracing energy is to become a leader and a pop star, right? So the releasing point is forget about being the best supporting actor. You know, you are
yes.
the best. You need to become a star. It's not about supporting others, and it's not about others leaning on you and to a certain extent using you as well. You know, you might not feel it, but it's all about letting go of that codependency issue, you know, what you might be having, you know, from the outside world. And you don't need to become a peacemaker. You don't need to make compromises in your life.
Although you will have the talent to be so, and you will be doing it while you're younger, because you will feel comfortable doing this. It's your comfort zone. But maybe this is where you actually start doing things for the others, develop your south node, and then you just need to be brave enough and courageous to get the opportunities that come to you, because when you actually use your south node for the good of others, for something, for a higher purpose, then you will be noticed. It's for sure. It's only that the person who has the north node in Aries will have to make the choice, and this is the moment where things shift, because if you do things for others, you will be noticed. This is for sure.
Yeah. You know, we're talking about 2 points which are completely 180-degree away from each other. So we're talking about an opposition. An opposition talk about bringing these 2 points in balance.
Yes.
So it's not about, that's one of the reasons why I don't like the keyword to the south node of releasing point and letting go, because it doesn't mean that you have to let it go completely. You just have to find that healthy balance between these two. And that's when you can manifest the most. Of course, we're talking about relationship axis here, Aries and Libra. And it could be a tough situation having a Libra south node, because relationship might be coming a little bit later on in your life. But it's all about remembering that the relationship comes a little bit later in your life, because you are getting a little bit more time from life to achieve what you want. And then after, you can embrace, you know, the energy of relationship and making those compromises in your life and so forth. But yeah, with Aries North Node, you have to learn putting yourself first.
Yes, exactly.
So let's move on to Taurus North Node. Therefore, it means that it's going to be a Scorpio South Node. So when we talk about Taurus North Node, basically it's going to be all about grounding yourself. It's going to be about living in the moment, having pure human connections with others, and telling it the way you see it, making your own living as well. Somehow you have to know that you have got the capability of earning your own money. It's all about, to a certain extent, it's all about your survival instincts. You have got the power to earn your own money, and you don't have to lean on anyone else. How do you feel about Taurus North Node?
I feel quite the same, and it's about your self-worth. You need to come to this point where you know your value, you know your self-worth, and you know you're able to deal in the material world, to ground yourself alone by yourself. So you don't need the other people's resources. You don't need their support. You can just grow within yourself. And yeah, because the north node, the south node will be in Scorpio then, where the resources of others are. So as you said, not to lean too much on others, but
Yeah.
to grow yourself. Yeah.
You know, in many cases, Scorpio South Node can indicate that we have to let go of some type of manipulating, strategizing type of lifestyle. In very critical cases, actually, the sex might become as a weapon for the person. It also indicates that the person doesn't need to be so secretive and even superstitious. They don't have to rely on other people's resources, as you said, even money as well. Because a Taurus North Node is all about allowing yourself to make that happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have anything else to add to Taurus?
No, not really.
Okay. So let's move on to Gemini then. So how do you feel about Gemini North Node?
Well, Gemini North Node, it's all about how these people will learn to communicate, to become open to others, and what will be there, to know their life purpose, to have the details of it, and not to focus so much on the general picture, like a South Node in Sagittarius would be urged to do. And Gemini would be maybe to be able to express themselves more freely and more openly, and not to be afraid to talk their mind, to say what they think. Yeah.
I think a Gemini North Node needs to develop on their listening skills, being able to understand others, using the power of being here now, and having that playful exploration towards others, such as being a part of a community, for instance, creating dynamic duos, uh, having powerful connections to others as well, you know, who can actually help you on the roads. Maybe you know, sometimes acting like a child, taking risk as well. And it's not about being so fixated on the future. It's not about being a jack of all trades, basically. You know, do as much as you can. It's biting off more than you can chew type of syndrome, really. You know, gather the facts before actually you speak. Be a little bit more of you know, use that curious energy of Gemini, gather as much knowledge as possible, and then after go and then release it to the world if you want to. So obviously we've got the Sagittarius South Node here, which is going to be a release point. And you know, maybe it's all about not necessarily staying away, but not being overly philosophical, not
Yes.
getting lost in theories and listening to so many opinions. You know, create your own opinion. Maybe letting go of some element of greed as well. Because what happens is Sagittarius South Node usually have got plenty of options to choose from. And that's when they tend to be getting lost. You know, the power of abundance. Which one shall I go for? And the Gemini's North Node exactly suggests that you need to be staying in the present and then picking the best possible option, explore the possibilities, and then just go for it, basically.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else to add?
Well, no, you actually say it so concise and so well. I think there's not so much to add. This is the general picture, so.
Yeah. Okay, so let's move on to, you know, even if I want to just add a little bit to it. So Gemini and Sagittarius are pretty much about communication and learning. And in many cases, these two can include, you know, the life purpose of teaching, learning, writing, somehow spreading messages. If you think about Gemini, which is ruled by Mercury, Mercury is all about creating that bridge between people. And in many cases, if you ask a very strong Gemini person, or do you know a good carpenter? Yes, here you go, here is the phone number. Do you know someone who can, you know, come to the court and then help me win the case? Yes, of course, my best friend is like a lawyer, and so forth. So they've got very good social connections going on. But Gemini needs to learn that it's all about the local travelers. It's all about the familiar faces rather than becoming the global ambassador.
Yeah, and it's like, but still they need to the baseline would be to become the local messenger first and then develop your global idea.
Exactly, and then having that lovely balance
Yes.
between.
Mm.
Okay, let's have a look at the Cancer North nodes. How do you feel about that?
So we had it over the last 2 years almost. So Cancer is all related to the family, to traditions, to our emotions, to how we feel the world. So a Cancer North node would be related to being able to manage our emotions and not to give in so much into them, or maybe to learn to value them as our compass, as our inner compass. Also to value the family, the traditions, so that we can have this stable basis from the Capricorn, some structure which was created while we were young, for example, and so we can build our own family and our own tribe in a way, even in the broader sense, not only here in the individual. So yeah, I think it's being able to manage our emotional world.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's all about embracing the emotional sensitivity, within the person, embracing the feminine power of yours as well, the maternal energy within yourself, the nurturing skills, the self-care. And when it comes to the release point, which is Capricorn South Node, you know, life is not just about accomplishments and job titles and hierarchy and
Yes,
workaholism, right?
yes, and
Because you can have all the money in the world, but if you don't have someone to share it with, you're going to become lonely. And you're going to
yes.
become lonely at the top.
Mm.
And what happens with the Capricorn energy, that in many cases the head rules over the heart,
Yes, and
right?
it's like,
And yeah, go ahead.
yeah,
Sorry.
it's like a very active energy as compared to this passive energy of being somewhere, of the Cancer sign, of being somewhere, nurturing somebody, taking care of them, but without showing this off to the world, so that you get this acknowledgement and approval and, yeah, the status necessarily. So yeah.
Exactly. You know, in many cases, I've seen that having Cancer North Node, Capricorn South Node, there are some parental issues going on within the person. And they have to learn how to overcome those. In many cases, actually, mommy issues are pretty much the case.
Yes, and maybe because the Cancer North Node, it's a feminine energy, maybe in a male's chart it will be even more difficult to manifest this energy, because in these times when we live, the male qualities are very much appreciated and valued. So yeah, going to the Cancer energy, to nurturing, it's gonna be even harder
Yeah.
males. So they
Let's have
will
a look at the Leo North Node then. So how do you feel about that?
the Leo North Node, it's all about it's like a little bit like the Aries energy, but still it's more about becoming an individual, being able to assert yourself and your creative efforts, so that they are visible, and so that you yourself become acknowledged, you become seen, visible, the star, because this is the sun, you become a god for a certain community, or with it for yourself, even you somehow come to acknowledge your inner value. And yeah, it's like stop doing, because the South Node would be in Aquarius, stop doing things for the others, for the group, stop hiding in the group, more stop hiding in the group's shadow. You need to emerge from the group, and you need to make yourself seen. I have the North Node in Leo, and I can say it's really difficult. It's like, so it's a really difficult position.
Well, you
Like,
needed to be pushed by an Aquarius person to get on the stage, right? Because it took me a while to get Sweaty to, to share her wisdom. And how interestingly enough, I've got an Aquarius sun, so probably I'm opposing. And actually, maybe my sun is even in conjunction with her South Node.
Yeah, this could be. And
but it's all about following your heart, tuning into your desires, and spoil yourself. You can even display your affection. It's all about coming through with your self-expression and being on the top with, with the elite, being on the top with people who know what luxury is, for instance.
Yes.
And it's all about releasing the Aquarius energy a little bit. We don't need to please people. We don't need to be liked by everyone. You don't need to hide away in a group, as you said yourself, trying to emotionally detach yourself from any type of negative critics. It's good to listen to feedback, but if it's against your own, if it's against your own desire, then take it like a pinch of salt.
Yeah.
Aquarius is the sign of intelligence. Again, Aquarius tends to use the head over heart as well. So, yeah, it's a good piece of advice. Just go after your heart. Don't always listen to your head, or have a good, allow the two to have a good old chit-chat between each other, but make sure you always follow your heart.
Yeah, and that's because I'm now 40 already, so I can't realize now how much I missed actually earlier. Yeah, because I have been doing this, like hiding in groups, and I didn't want to do something on my own. So this is very important for the North Node in Leo to start doing something on themselves, even own business, or maybe not hiding within the structures of the big company. And
Yes, exactly. And really, Aquarius could be talking about rejection as well. And there are going to be people who will reject you. But it's all about your own happiness. As you said, it's a little bit like Aries, being, the attention seeker type, being cocky enough to believe that you've got the necessary knowledge, to put yourself out there. By the way, usually the Leo and the Aquarius axis talk about childhood experiences. So maybe these people couldn't express themselves freely. They were not allowed to shine. In many cases, it could even happen that, let's say, you had the opportunity to go to the church and sing in front of, I don't know, 1,000 people, and then your parents said, "Oh, no, this is not the case. Our family don't do like that." And somehow these little things get stuck, are going to be scared a little bit of going on stage. Leo rules staging.
Yes. And maybe generally for the North and South nodes, they represent some family. When we go back to the roots, our ancestors, they represent some family structures, some family models repeating all the time. Because I noticed, for example, that my daughters, South Node and North Node, are just like my father's. And it's like they're exchanging, but they're reversed, so it's like in the family we are getting the people we need to develop.
I'm happy that you're sharing some personal experiences, because I feel like sharing your own chart is like being naked in front of thousands of people. We can see so many traits within one person, and it's very nice to hear some actual personal feedback, you know, how good or how well astrology can work.
Oh yeah, it works perfectly well.
So let's jump onto Virgo North Node.
Okay, Virgo North Node, it's like getting to the details of something, learning to look at the small things, and taking care of the material world as well, finding the balance between the material and the spiritual realms, because the South Node would be in Pisces, and also this empathy that you carry in yourself, try to not to be used by the others. You need to put some boundaries. You need to learn to put boundaries with the Virgo North Node. So what do you think?
You know, with Virgo North Node, probably we do need to work with data and facts. It's all about reading the fine, the small print, right?
Yeah.
It's all about developing maybe some technical skills, mastering and setting clear targets for yourself as well. It's not necessarily giving so much away to the society. You know, it's more about creating a little society around you and maybe becoming an accountable person for them, or even showing some leadership skills as well. But it's more about the personal responsibility rather than this global thing. And
Yeah,
you know what I've noticed with Virgo North nodes, obviously having South Node in Pisces, that they might be showing sometimes some self-pity. They might come up with some excuses as well, you know, or why they don't do things what they know they should be doing. Also, they tend to be wearing those rose-colored glasses. They might become a little bit scattered, and they need to learn it's not about making sacrifices in their lives. It's not about trying to save everyone and living in self-denial. It's all about being nitty-gritty, take accountability for your own life and action, and then stand by. What I have noticed with um, South Node being in Pisces and North Node in Virgo, that the person has got this tendency to become the victim. You know, they tend to be living in denial, in deception. They always come up with some excuses, because actually Virgo North Node, in many cases, they know what they should be doing, but they tend to be living in this rose-colored bubble. You know, they wearing those rose-colored glasses, and they tend to be a little bit scattered. And now it's all about coming back, paying attention to details, you know, creating a structure and taking responsibility for their own action.
Yeah, and it's
You know,
also
in many, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, it's also like, because when you said the structure, when Virgo are able to define from a huge amount of information, they are able to have the essence and to present it and to know it. So people with North Node in Virgo, they actually have to learn to do this and not count on their intuition only. They have to do the research, so they need to really do the work. Because Virgo is like working, hard working, and they need
Exactly.
to learn to do this. They don't need to hide in their spiritual realm, so to say. That they don't have to count too much on that they will be able to dive into to somewhere and to feel intuitively, and the knowledge will come to them. They have to do the work. So they have to become a little bit more intellectual, because Virgo is a very intellectual sign, and not count so much on their intuition.
That's right. I've also noticed, unfortunately, that Virgo North Node tends to be attracting abusive relationships as well. And somehow they get buried in their relationship. They get lost in, even they get lost in their dreams. You know, it's gonna fold out just nicely. I just need to be patient and so forth. Yeah. Let's move on to a Libra North node.
Yeah, so it will be the reverse of the Aries North Node. So the Libra North Node will have to be to learn to be more diplomatic, not to be so self-assertive. We'll have to learn to let others do things and not do everything themselves. They will have to learn to be the diplomat and not so much the warrior. They will have to learn to become the connector in the group and to sometimes just close down a little bit and not be so proactively doing things, but also give the opportunity to others to show themselves up. And
Yeah.
yeah, not to take all the responsibility, not to fight so hard, not to compete all the time, but to be rather more balanced and yeah, to try to keep the peace, not to create a war, so to say.
Exactly. It's like a peaceful warrior. Basically, they
Yeah.
just need to release the me first mentality a little bit and then go in towards the collective. How do you feel about Scorpio North Node?
The Scorpio North Node, I think they will have to learn to break all taboos,
Yeah,
and they will, yeah, and they will have to learn to say things which are not pleasant to hear, because I'm sure they are able to see them. So they will just need to learn to express and also maybe not to be so much stuck to the past. They will have to release the past so that they can live here and now, and maybe deal with their emotions and need for drama in a way.
yeah,
And yeah, this is a hard job for sure. But
yes. And you know, you did mention that they need to release, you know, some of the trauma and energy, and I do believe they need to do that through their sacral chakra. You know, it's all about connecting to the divine, connecting to the universe, and somehow spiritually getting fulfilled as well at one point in their life. And life is not about luxury. It's not just about comfort and earthly appetites and overindulgence and you know it's not about working hard and smart. You know, it's probably about working hard, working hard but smart as well at the same time.
yeah, true.
Great. How about Sagittarius?
So the Sagittarius North Node, it will be all about getting the details and forming your life vision, not being lost into so many things you like to do, so not being lost into thousands of topics, thousands of people. You need to really define your world vision, and maybe also because Sagittarius and Jupiter are related to some kind of greediness, and the North Node is when it's in Sagittarius, then maybe they will also have to release in a way this urge for the small matters and yeah, achieve the higher goals, the long-term
Exactly.
goals.
It's like focusing on the bigger picture,
Yeah,
basically.
thank you. Focusing
Yeah.
on the
It's all
picture.
about connecting to higher levels. It's all about, let's say, universal type of energies, higher learning, being adventurous as well, and leaving your comfort zone behind a little bit, pushing the limits as much as possible. And probably what they need to get rid of is, well, maybe being fixated so much on the details, maybe gossiping less a little bit. Uh,
Yes.
it's not about just going for, you know, what you know, but actually it's about going for the unknown as well. because they need to become a big fish they need to become a big fish in a huge ocean. And it's not about being a big fish, for instance, in a small pond, if that makes sense.
It's about being able to see the whole forest and not the trees. It's about being able to make to see the whole picture. Yeah, I am. Yeah.
That's right. That's right. And how
And
about Capricorn?
yeah, just wanted to add for Sagittarius that maybe they will need to trust the higher knowledge, the universal knowledge, and not getting so much into the little theories and details of any theory. They just need to trust that it's one knowledge for all.
You are right, because Sagittarius is associated with the gods.
Yeah.
So it's all about reconnecting with your inner god, goddess, and then just bring the most out of you.
Mm-hmm.
And how do you feel about Capricorn?
So Capricorn will be the opposite side of Cancer. So it will be all about achieving some kind of a social status, all about hard work, discipline, learning to focus, and also learning to be above your emotions, not to be so moody, learning to focus despite all circumstances, learning to push through difficult times, to preserve the structure, to be a little bit more conservative when it comes to achieving your goals. And yeah, it's like being disciplined, focused, and reliable. Yeah, opposing to being too emotional, too moody, and unreliable.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. It's all about being in the public, having a vision, and then go for that vision, achieving, becoming a businessman, basically, becoming a professional, a leader, and being proactive as well at the same time. And yes, it's not necessarily about embracing other people's, negativity. You don't need to look after them, or you don't just need to look after them, because after a while you're gonna get fed with their fears, a fear of abandonment, and then you might feel responsible for others, and you're gonna start showing more of your feminine energy. You're gonna get too attached to, your parents and so forth. In many cases, if you've got North Node in Capricorn and South Node in Cancer, the person might have experienced some type of daddy issues. How about Aquarius?
So with North in Aquarius, you will have to learn to do things for the group and not being so much about yourself. You will have to learn to give your knowledge, your talents for the group's best, and you will have to learn to be a little bit more in the background to achieve. Yeah, it's like you will have to learn to fight for brotherhood, equality, and all these Aquarian matters. And
Yeah, Aquarius rules civil rights. That's one of the most humanitarian sign as well. So maybe collaborating with group of people, fighting for some humanitarian cause, having a sense of purpose, really,
yeah.
And coming up with some ideas, even if it's a weird idea, it sounds like weird to others. Probably it's going to be still beneficial for you. It's all about detaching yourself from any type of drama, because Leo also rules drama and acting, right? So we need to detach ourselves from those, becoming a little bit more objective, having a rational approach to life, but it's not about, that all the attention lands on me. It's not about being spotted, being in the spotlight all the time. It's more about fighting for a cause which serves the whole, universe, basically.
Yeah, and it's like affording yourself to be more rebellious and telling the truth out loud, but for a group purpose, not for some egoistic purpose, not for some individual interest. It's
That's
like
right.
talking on behalf of a whole group. You can, and then I think that then the South Node in Leo will also manifest through the North Node in Aquarius, because when you are in a group and fight for a cause, you can become the leader of the group, but still you will be doing this for the group, and the motives, the background motives are very important.
Exactly.
So
And last but not least, we've got the Pisces North Node.
yeah, the Pisces North Node, they will have to learn to become more empathetic and not so, maybe not so critical to others, because yeah, maybe and maybe they will have to also learn to trust their intuition, and they will have to learn to get in touch with higher realms, to higher knowledge, to this this intuition that comes from above and that is not so intellectual. They will have to learn to feel the whole picture, to feel, not to know, but to feel the whole energy of the culture, of the common group. Yeah. So this is for the Pisces North Node. I think they will have to become more empathetic to others, to humanity, to the people as a whole. Because Pisces
They
is
are
the
typically the
sign,
healers, right?
they will have to become here the healers, and they somehow, wanting it or not, they will be absorbing the energy of the collective. So they will
Exactly.
have to learn to deal with it.
Because in many cases, they even have got this divine power to be able to guide others. And I remember when we did a video on Celine Dion, and one of my favorite songs from her is I Surrender.
Oh
And
yeah.
this I surrender is a very Piscean statement.
Yes.
The I
Yes.
surrender everything. So basically, you hand yourself over to a higher power, and you've got faith, in your in the universe, in your own universe.
Yes.
Unfortunately, in many cases, they might need substances for it, such as alcohol and drugs, and somehow they want to escape from reality, and they need time to recover from any type of addiction. At some point, they might feel the very, very lowest of their life, which is going to be triggering them to embrace that healing power within them. And you know why? Probably because they've got Virgo South Node, and Virgo South Node is all about perfectionism.
Yes.
They are the nitty-gritty type of people. They're going to analyze everything. And if they analyze way too much, they're going to get paralyzed as well.
True. They get stuck in a way. So, and also they might be not only critical to the others, but also very much self-critical, and then they will need substances so they can live in peace with themselves. And
Exactly.
yeah, so it's like achieving peace within yourself, the Pisces North Node. Yeah, it's like accepting your parents as well, because it's on a more individual level, but also accepting the society, the circumstances that you live in, and not striving so much for perfection, but rather for being able to be compassionate to the other's point of view as well, but also to other people's pain and what they're going through, and being empathetic and understanding to their point of view.
That's right. So this was a general interpretation of the South Node and the North Node in each of the sign. But you do need to remember, and I think this is where students can go a little bit wrong. They do need to remember that each of these have got a ruler. And the ruler is also going to become a karmic planet in your chart. It's also going to be indicating of what you have to learn in this lifetime, or maybe what you need to be like drawn away from a little bit. So we decided to have a look at David Bowie's chart, because I feel like his chart is very much describing of how to translate these symbols into everyday activities. So one of the things you can see here is that David Bowie has got his South Node in the sign of Sagittarius. And actually it is placed in the 11th house. And you can see Tsveti is trying to point at it. Now, Astro.com does not necessarily show the South Node placement, but what you need to remember is that actually it's always the opposite sign from the North Node placement. And in this case, it is in the sign of Gemini on 11 degrees. So if I want to be breaking down how to check this, so you can see that the South Node is in the sign of Sagittarius in the 11th house. Now, 11th house, Sagittarius in his chart is ruled by Jupiter. And that Jupiter is placed in the sign of Scorpio in the 10th house. And actually, if you start determining, let's say, the closest aspect to Jupiter, that planet is also going to be somehow describing something to do with your karmic experience. And in his chart, Jupiter is squared by Pluto, which is in the sign of Leo. Now, what could this indicate for us? So 11th house is all about publicity. So it could indicate that this person might have been a public figure in his past life. And the reason is because 11th house is all about publicity. And the ruler of the 11th house, which is placed in the 10th house, talks about fame and again, publicity to a certain extent. So if you really think about what Jupiter means in the chart, actually Jupiter is all about being a god, being recognized by others. And Scorpio talks about sexuality. Now, this already shows that if you don't believe in karma, then think about it like this lifetime, just at the beginning of his lifetime. So it does show that at the beginning of his lifetime, she's got plenty of, he gets recognized by the public, 11th house, by his sexual energies, the way he dresses up, for instance. Now you can even see that the South Node has got an opposition towards Uranus. And Uranus is the planet of lightning bolts, disruption. And it's in the 5th house as well, which is again a house of sex, children, childhood. So the question is, did he become really famous because, you know, he was talented, or did he become famous because of his infame, basically? So that's very interesting to see, but we know that David Bowie was a very talented person, but at the same time, he was very eccentric as well. And probably somehow he used that talent, you know, to get onto the stage what he wanted to achieve, which is all about the 5th house energy. Now, if I have a look at his North Node, well, North Node is in the sign of Gemini in the 5th house. And the North Node, of course, has got the conjunction to Uranus, because we already mentioned Uranus as opposing the South Node as well. And that house in his chart is ruled by Mercury. So Mercury becomes a karmic planet, a point in the chart what he needs to embrace. Mercury is placed in the sign of Capricorn in the 12th house. And actually the Mercury is conjuncting Mars and the Sun, plus square in the Neptune as well. So what he really needs to learn in this lifetime is to make peace with his inner child, to be able to provide a home environment for his own children, for instance, or even to discover his creativity through some artistic things. Think about the 12th house. 12th house is quite hard to interpret, and plenty of students have got issues with it. But if you think about what 12th house is all about seclusion. It's all about your unconscious. And in many cases, it talks about the self-undoing. So self-undoing in the sense of not necessarily criticizing yourself, not necessarily destroying your whole life, At one point, the person needs to realize that they have to make that tweak in their life. They need to dig deep, discovering that deeper level of mind, basically. It could have 12th house could be talking about actually hidden psychological problems as well. It is the house of weaknesses. And once you embrace your weaknesses and you try to turn them into something positive, then actually it can become one of your, weapon. Now, as we said, there is Mars there, which talks about hidden aggression. And in the 12th house, what Mars does is it just accumulates, and then after a while, it might become uncontrollable. And then there is going to be this introversive explosion going on within the person. Mercury in the 12th house indicates my thoughts, which I am scared to share with others. And somehow the person needs to learn how to open that gate towards other lives, for instance. Maybe it can be reached through meditation, past life regression, or any type of ways what you want to. But what he really needed to learn is how to live a hermetic life, how to turn towards paranormal activities. Even 12th house could talk about illegal affairs. Now, you might know or you might not know, but David Bowie had plenty of problems with his sexuality. One day he claimed that he was heterosexual, the next day he was bisexual, the third day he was gay. So I feel like this indicates that he had to come to peace in order for him to, to become a whole person, to take responsibility for his own acting. And I know I read about him quite a lot, and then I know that he was one of the most influential person of the 20th century. He basically changed the art of music to a certain extent because he reinvented the visual presentation of things. And probably that is also shown by having Uranus in the 5th house. But he had kids, and he loved his kids, and he looked after his kids in a Uranian way, though, but he did. And he wanted to make sure that those kids are, looked after to the best possible way. And at the second part of his life, interestingly enough, he started being interested in Buddhism. So he went towards that. Spiritual realm, what he actually had to do. Now, because we've got the South Node and the North Node in the parental signs, it really shows that he needs to learn about the parenting methods. So no wonder why he became, a parent. Probably he was bringing some energies from his own parent as well. The reason why we're talking about the parental axis here is because we're talking about the 5th and the 11th house axis, which talks about his own childhood. And obviously your own childhood in most cases is defined by your own parents. And the other reason why we're talking about parenting stuff is because Mercury, which is ruling the North Node, is actually in a parenting sign, which is Capricorn. Do you think, Tweti, it is understandable for everyone how to approach your karmic experiences?
Yeah, I think it is. It's like looking at the rules, how they are aspected, and how they play out. So it's not only the North Node sign and the South Node sign, but also the house position and the sign of the rulers, which counts a lot in finding the true mission of the nodes, of the nodal axis, so to say. So yeah, I think David Bowie's chart is very much explicable. It's very obvious here how this played out with him. And what you said was, of course, yeah.
Do you have anything else to add to his chart?
Actually, only just a little detail that occurred to me while we were saying things, that when he turned at the end of later in his life, he turned to Buddhism, you said. So it's also not only because he has a stellium in the 12th house, but also the ruler of the North Node is there and it's in Capricorn. So he was most probably looking for some stability of the mind. So Buddhism is exactly that. So this was like a part of the North Node development as well. So yeah, that's what. And the South Node is in Sagittarius, which is higher knowledge. So he had the basis for this. He only needed to pick what exactly of all these religions and higher knowledge stuff would best suit him and would give him the stability he needed. Because with the stellium in the 12th house, Mercury, Mars, and the Sun, people are very much tapped into the collective energy, and it's really difficult to actually differentiate what's your thought and what's the collective. So they're like they very well know what the public wants, but not really know themselves. So getting to Buddhism really got me. I saw this connection.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. And also we can't take, we cannot not spot the fact that South Node also conjuncts the midheaven.
Yes.
And the South Node and the North Node conjunctions to the midheaven, in many cases, like having Chiron there. So somehow that's the emotional wound and that's the emotional healer as well at the same time. So he is carrying plenty of karmic wounds, and he's back here to heal somehow with his stage presence, for instance.
Yeah.
Having
but still he needed some stability within all these collective energies. So he achieved it.
I believe so. Even though he died at a very early age, I feel like he somehow managed to, manifest most of it.
Mm.
Great. So I hope this little chart interpretation of his help you guys to understand how you should be approaching your karmic duties, so to say. But I would always have a look at your sun placement as well. So we made a video on that. So therefore, I'm going to be linking that in the chat box below. So if you want to be having a clearer picture, then listen to that as well. And last but not least, very shortly, we wanted to give you a little bit of an information of how to interpret the nodal returns or the squares, because you can't really find much information out there. So we're talking about the transiting nodes, basically. So when you've got a nodal return, basically that's going to be happening around the age of 18 and a half, 19, something like that, because the nodes need 18 and a half years to go through the zodiacal signs. So when you've got nodal returns, that's going to be happening at the age of 18 and a half, around 37, around the age of 56, and somewhere around 74, 75 as well. And actually the nodal returns could be an indication of a huge turning point in your confidence to start something fresh. You might feel with the energy that you're getting on the right road. You exactly know what you are doing, where you are heading in this lifetime. And then it's just all about grasping the opportunity to make things happen as well. Something you are good at in many, many lifetimes. And if you rely on that, can lead up to success. But these nodal returns is a reminder for you to start embracing the opposite side of things also. But because you are good at something, actually, it doesn't mean that you should be doing it all the time, right? So the nodal returns are going to be times when you need to evaluate how attached you are to the past, whether this type of lifestyle is still about you, Or is there anything out there which offers you something different? You know, I've noticed that this could be the time when actually pieces can fall, you know, into place. Maybe actually you meet someone who can support you on your path. You might be realizing that you are good at something else as well. Or just a turning point that, you know what, I want to be doing something else. Getting the feeling that I want to be building something else. I need allies, supporters to do that. So you might be more open to meet up others and you know, allowing them to help on your personal growth, basically. How do you feel about nodal returns, Tweti?
Yeah, it's I pretty much agree with you, and it's like a turning point when we come to realize it's like when we can assess whether we're in line with our long-term goals, whether we have the necessary support and what we need to move on. And because with nodal returns, it's both the south node and the north node that are returning. We feel very confident in the area where the south node is, and we feel like we have the ground to develop the north node. And when they return, it's like they shine a light on the current situation, and they show us whether we need to make some minor changes. It's like this south node return makes us feel confident that we're good where we are, and the north node return, it makes us feel, it amplifies the north node energy and makes us feel that we are on the right path, as you said. So it's like we come to realize, it's like we know where we have developed well. We give credit to ourselves and feel content with what we achieved, and it's like we see where we go, we see the long-term goal, we see the path and the next steps, and yeah, more or less, so we can use the talent that we have to develop the north node sign, house, and ruler, and so on. And it's maybe we can feel that higher knowledge is now more accessible to us. It's
Yeah, that's right.
yeah, and yeah, we it's, I think it's a great moment when we come to realize where we stand, and we're very calm about it. It's not like self-criticism, or it's like a very objective view of how things are. And yeah, I think it's a very nice. When I say turning point, I don't mean in the negative sense. It's a very nice turning point in the sense of I know where I am and I know how to proceed in order to achieve what I want to achieve. It's like great revision, but we know the stuff. We know where we are.
You know, I can give you my own personal experience with the nodal return because I had it twice. So when I was 18, actually my grandma passed away, and she was the one who raised me. Now I've got my North node in the fifth house in the sign of Cancer. So with the Cancer element, obviously the parenting comes in. She was the one who raised me, and I was very much attached to her. But I kind of had to realize that her death actually changed my life completely. I don't think I would be the person I am today if she was still alive. So on one hand, of course, I am very sad, and yeah, there is a lot more to this story. But at the end of the day, you know, I had to come to peace with the notion of death. So that happened at the age of 18, and then I just decided that I was going to move to the capital city on my own and start basically working and earning money. And you know, fifth house is all about self-expression. So basically, to a certain extent, growing up and then showing my talents. And then at the age of 37, when I had the second nodal return, then what happened was I decided to move back to my home country. Again, Cancer, it talks about the roots. So I return back to my roots. It's very interesting, and I wasn't planning it on purpose to move back around my nodal return. I just came naturally.
Yeah, when we come to personal examples, it's like the same with me. When I was 18, I started. I left university and I moved to the capital city to. No, I left high school and moved to the capital city to study at the university, and these were really hard times for me. But I knew somehow I was feeling secure and sure that this is the path I need to be taking. And also these were my first touches to astrology, more in depth, I mean. And then at the squares, when the squares came, I had to revise. And when I was 37, I came back to astrology. This is strange, but yeah. And I came to be, I came to develop this more individually, not like in a group or, yeah. So like playing, this is my north node in Leo, so I come to be doing it more, not so much in a group, not so much because of the group, so much because of the others, but now I come to realize that this is actually my own interest and I want to be developing it, and things started to evolve by themselves somehow.
Let's have a look at the nodal square. So when it comes to the nodal squares, it's going to be happening every 9.5 years. So basically around 14, 23, 32.5, 42, 51, and so forth. Now, squares talk about tension. So these times actually can bring tension to you, especially if you have no clue what you're doing. If you don't know, if you don't really understand what to do, how to do things. And even so, the nodal returns can cause actually tension. We're talking about squares, right? Which is all about friction, tension. And especially it can happen when you are not aware of what you should be doing. You don't understand how to do things. And you might even feel that life or the circumstances in your life are nudging you. It can be a very, very challenging time, surely. And what I can suggest to people is that this is the time when they should be revisiting their North Node to see, what energy they really need to be embracing. Otherwise, they might feel pretty much worn down. They might feel a huge cosmic pressure on them. How do you feel about the nodal squares?
Yeah, it's as you said, it's time of these are times of tension. These are times of maybe compromise and changing our worldview, beliefs, and checking them out, realizing what works for us and what doesn't. What is maybe we sometimes might feel out that we are not in the right time, on the right place. It's like we're putting efforts and not seeing the results that we want to see, and this is giving us tension. And maybe these are times when we need to just a little bit step back and revise and see and analyze, and not so much not putting so much effort into doing. And these are definitely times that we will be going out of our comfort zone, and yeah, so that we can at some point feel that we come to in line with our life purpose. And these might be challenging times when we will need to adjust to some new surroundings, some new circumstances. Challenges will come from the outside as well that will challenge us to challenge our beliefs, challenge our way of doing things, challenge our behavioral models. And these are times that when we will have to learn a lot of new skills so that they can adjust to our purpose.
Yeah, probably this is the time when you have to adjust a little bit. maybe into new surroundings, maybe picking up new tool case, maybe adapting your behavior. And it might be just a call for looking after yourself a little bit more. And the question is whether you are resisting the change and you start, wallowing, or you actually going to be honoring those signs. Because square is about tension. The more you fight against the tension, the more you are going to be absorbing it as well. So it's time to go back and then revisit your North Node, basically.
Yeah.
And last but not least, we've got the reverse nodal return. So which means that South Node is going to be transiting your North Node and so forth. And it's going to be happening around the age of 28, 46 and a half, 65, and so forth. How do you feel about that, Tweti?
I feel these are times when the nodes, the reverse nodes, will be shining light on the other ones. So the South Node will be enlightening the North Node energy, and vice versa. And the South Node will be bringing this courage and probably making us feel much more comfortable in learning new skills. And we will be more courageous to exit the comfort zone, our comfort zone, and we will be able to leave old ways of old belief systems, old habits, and old models and structures that we come to realize that these work against us. So and these are times when we might withdraw from some talent that we have because we realize it's not the thing that will bring us the satisfaction that we desire. And it's like we realize that some of the things that we truly believe are actually wrong, and we come to revise our life purpose even, and also the worldview we have.
The North Node triggering, for instance, your South Node. Well, South Node is your comfort zone. And it's getting triggered by your karmic points, which you have to embrace and learn about. So it might be asking you to, embrace new energies and new ideas. It might be the time when you have to leave things behind what you might be good at, but no longer works for you. And how interesting that age of 28 when it happens, and you've got Saturn return around your age of 28 as well. And you also have got the progress moon return around the age of 28 and 29. So you've got three celestial events happening in the sky. And that's the reason why we call age of 28, 29 as the growing up period in your life.
Becoming mature.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, guys, thank you very much. I think it was a little bit longer presentation than we expected, but I hope you managed to learn a lot, in regards to your karmic duties and what you have to embrace in this lifetime. So if you have got any questions, just please put your comments below, show us some love, and I hope to see you again with some other topics in the future. Tweti, thank you very much for making time in your busy schedule to join my audience.
Always. Thank you so much for having me, and it was a great pleasure. I hope everybody enjoyed it, and I hope that everybody will be able to take a lot from the video because it's lots of information, and I hope it was useful.
Brilliant. See you soon. Thank you, everyone.
See you.